as autumn sun shined through Forrester Creations' floor-to-ceiling windows. The sleek and stylish office interiors turned golden. Despite the warm day, the facility was loaded with weeks-old anxiety. Steffy Forrester glanced at her father's framed portraits in his office, shivering. Family, love, and lost memories abound. Today, Steffy felt the weight of those memories more than ever. Her life was crazy lately. She needed to talk to Ridge about a request that could impact their family's future, because her emotions and peace were at odds. Steffy inhaled and smoothed her black, glossy hair behind her ear. She felt weak today, despite usually being robust. Everything she had worked so hard to protect was at risk, including her children's mother and the security of the family she had previously assumed would always support her. Ridge approached with his customary assurance, detecting her anxiety. His blue eyes were focused and his jaw was firm. Despite his unwavering support, Ridge agonized with Steffi's constant conflict with Hope Logan, her perennial competitor. Ridge asked Steffy, his voice warm but worried, "What's going on? You sounded serious on the phone." Steffy faced her father, heart racing. She knew this chat would be hard. She was begging her father to select a side. "Dad, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady but emotional. "I can't live like this. I cannot keep pretending everything is fine when it is not." Ridge crossed the room to face her, frowning. His fatherly instincts led him to gently take her hand. "I'm always here for Steffy. Whatever it is, we'll solve it. Just tell me your problem." Swallowing hard, Steffy's eyes flickered with emotion. "Hope matters. And Liam. And everything." Stiffened Ridge. When Hope and Liam are mentioned, his face shows anxiety and irritation. He had witnessed his daughter suffer from the convoluted Forrester Logan family net throughout the years. Steffy, Hope, and Liam's on-again, off-again love triangle shaped their lives. And no matter what they did, it appeared to never end. Steffi's voice was firm despite her tears. "Dad, I tried. I've tried hard to move on and focus on my kids, career, and life. I feel free when I think I've made a stable home for Kelly and Hayes, yet something pulls me back. I feel trapped in this circle and don't know how to escape." Ridge's heart squeezed seeing his daughter in distress. He always admired Steffy's strength. She had been through so much and still rose. However, this was different. He saw her exhaustion in her eyes, the weary of waging the same struggle for too long. "I know it's been hard, Steffy," Ridge whispered, "but you've come far. You've created a lovely life for your family. Co-CEO of Forrester Creations. You accomplished a lot." Steffy shook her head, her dark hair covering her shoulders. "Dad, it's not enough. I'm building myself, yet the past follows me. No escape from Hope." Ridge frowned. "Hope? What did she do now?" "It's not just about her," Steffy said, gaining volume. "The whole scenario matters. I cannot co-parent with Liam while he is with her. I can't keep witnessing how they gaze at one another, knowing Hope will always be there." Steffy paused to think before continuing. "And it's not just Liam. Also about Thomas. He's tried so hard to reform and prove he's changed. Hope stops him every time he advances. She rejects him, but gives him hope, just enough to keep him going." Ridge nodded closely as he parsed Steffy's words. He knew Hope and Thomas' tangled relationship had always strained the Forrester family. He didn't realize how much it affected Steffy. "Dad," Steffy sobbed, tearing down, "I'm asking you to do something about it. Please stand up for me, Thomas, and our family." Ridge arched his eyebrow, his gaze heightened. "Steffy, what are you asking?" Steffy breathed deeply to calm herself before giving her hardest request. "I need you to leave Hope. Please stop protecting her and promoting peace. Since she's in our lives like way, serenity won't come. Please pick me and Thomas over the Logans." The crowd grew silent as Steffy's remarks hung in the air. Ridge stood there, torn between loving his daughter and keeping the Forrester Logan family united. He had always attempted to satisfy both sides, but Steffy's plea required a decision. "Steffy," Ridge asked, cautiously, "are you suggesting I break up with Hope? You know how complicated. I can't ignore her after all we've been through. She's part of our family, like it or not." The frustration in Steffi's eyes. Dad, she's your family. But she's never been mine. She's always prevented me from being happy with Liam, Thomas, and everything else. Now she's doing it again. I understand where you're coming from, Ridge responded cautiously. But removing Hope from our life isn't the solution. That will hurt worse. I realize you're hurting, but we must find a solution without ruining everything. Steffi stood up abruptly, fists clenched. Dad, you say that easily. She need not be continuous in your life. You don't have to co-parent with Liam while he's attached to her. You don't have to watch your brother battle daily to go past someone who won't let him go. Ridge paused, considering his options. He always wanted to be the peacemaker who united everyone. However, witnessing his daughter's deep pain in her eyes, he recognized this wasn't about peace anymore. Steffi's emotional and the Forrester family's survival were at stake. Ridge finally responded, I hear you, Steffi, his voice wrought with passion. And I'll help you. You must realize that this is not a straightforward choice. I adore you and Thomas, but I can't forsake Hope. I can't hurt her or Brooke. Anger filled Steffi's gaze. It's not about Brooke. This is about me and our family. You may be part of the problem if you can't recognize that. Ridge recoiled when her words impacted him harder than expected. He knew Steffi was emotional, but hearing her blame him hurt more than he expected. I'm trying, Steffi, Ridge whispered. You must give me time. I can't decide this overnight. Steffi had a long, disappointed look at him. Time, Dad? Years of waiting. How long must I wait for you to prioritize me and Thomas? Ridge stood alone, stunned from the argument, as she bolted out of the office without answering. Chapter 2. Thomas' Conflict Heart. Thomas Forrester sat at his sketchpad at Forrester Creations Design Lab, doodled uninspired drawings. Hope dominated his thoughts. No matter how hard he tried to forget her, she always returned. His feelings for her, which he had sworn were gone, were stronger and more perplexing than ever. He couldn't understand Hope. She still encouraged his imagination and brought forth his best and worst. Thomas was distracted by his phone buzzing. A message from Hope. Hope, may we talk? His heart jumped. The hope he thought he had buried was revived every time she wrote. He knew it was ridiculous, and that Hope had made it obvious she didn't view him that way. But he constantly wondered if things could be different. Thomas typed hesitantly but replied, Thomas. Yes, what's up? Hope responded quickly. Hope, come to the cabin. It matters. Thomas' heart raced reading the message. He anticipated another discussion about boundaries, their professional relationship, and the importance of job focus. He secretly hoped this time would be different. Thomas stood at the same cabin an hour later, filled with eagerness and terror. After a timid knock, Hope opened the door, her countenance conflicted as she indicated for him to come inside. Hope murmured, Thank you for coming, gentler than usual. She seemed anxious, like she was struggling to say something. Thomas inhaled, trying to stay cool. It was vital, you said. What's happening? Hope slammed the door behind him, looking aside as she spoke. I have been reflecting on our situation and everything that has occurred. I must be honest. The heart jumped into Thomas' throat. Honest? What did she mean? He nodded, encouraging her to continue, even though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear. Hope moved carefully across the room. Thomas, you've changed so much. You worked hard to become the man you are, and I admire that. I actually do. I acknowledge that our relationship is difficult. Tommy's chest tensed. He had expected this, telling himself that Hope would never see him as anything other than his former self. But hearing her say it aloud hurt more than he expected. I know things are complicated, Thomas whispered, emotional. But I've worked so hard to be better, to prove to you I'm not the same person. Hope nodded, her eyes with compassion. I know. I appreciate everything you did. However, that makes it difficult. Thomas, I care. I actually do. However, I doubt we can ever have your kind of relationship. Thomas strained to stay calm after the words hit him in the belly. He had known this was coming for years, yet it still hurt to hear. Hope spoke with trembling. I want us to work together and stay close, but you must understand that it will never be more. I don't want to harm you, Thomas. but I can't give you what you want." Thomas glanced at her, heartbroken again. He told himself he was over Hope and had moved on. Not really. He had never stopped loving her. Her final statement that they had no future crushed his aspirations and dreams. "I understand," Thomas whispered. "Hope, I appreciate your candor. I pledge to respect your boundaries." Hope smiled gently, relieved. "Thanks, Thomas. This is hard, but I think it's best for us." Thomas left the cottage, heartbroken, fearing that Hope Logan would always get away no matter how hard he tried to go on. Ridge's Dilemma, Chapter 3. Ridge reflected about his talk with Steffy in his office at Forrester Creations. His daughter had been through so much and needed tranquility, so he understood. His duty to Hope and Brooke was likewise unavoidable. He had spent years mediating between the two families, so leaving Hope felt like leaving someone he loved. Ridge always took satisfaction in being able to keep his family together, no matter how complicated. For the first time, he doubted he could keep doing it. Brooke entered his office, worried about her husband's distress. "Ridge?" she asked quietly, crossing the room to join him. "What's up?" Ridge stared at her, emotional. "My name is Steffy. She wants my choice. She wants me to separate from Hope and prioritize her and Thomas." Surprised, Brooke widened her eyes. "What? She can't mean it. Ridge, you can't ignore Hope. Your daughter too." "I know," Ridge muttered, scratching his temples in anger. "But Steffy hurts, Brooke. She feels like she's been waging this battle for years and doesn't know how to proceed. She wants my support." Brooke shook her head, becoming firmer. "I know Steffy's upset, but choosing between your kids is unfair. Hope cannot be abandoned to please Steffy. There must be another way." Ridge sighed, undecided. Hope, Steffy, and Thomas were his loves. He knew someone will get wounded no matter what. "I don't know what to do, Brooke," Ridge said, emotional. "I've always tried to keep the peace, but now I feel pulled in two directions." Brooke gently took his hand. "We'll figure it out, Ridge. We usually do. You can't let Steffy force you to choose a path that would break this family." Ridge nodded, but he knew that whatever he did, the Forrester family would face a reckoning that might change everything. Chapter 4. Steffy's next step. Steffy arrived home distraught after her confrontation with Ridge. She hoped her father would notice her pain and prioritize her and Thomas. Ridge was clearly torn, unwilling to entirely cut ties with the Logans. Steffy paced the living room, her mind racing. She could no longer live in a perpetual tug-of-war between the Forrester and Logan families. Change was needed. When the door opened, Finn entered, his demeanor softening as he observed his wife's grief. "Steffy, what's wrong?" he asked, crossing the room to grab her. Steffy snuggled into his hug, feeling safe and secure. Finn was her rock through all the turbulence, and she knew she could trust on him. Steffy whispered, "It's my dad," against his chest. "I begged him to choose me and Thomas over Hope. But he won't. I don't know how much longer I can take him playing both sides." Finn stroked her hair, soothing with his words. "I know, Steffy. This is hard. You must not let this destroy you. You've created a lovely life for yourself, us and the kids. You needn't fight your dad anymore. We're your family, me, Kelly, and Hayes." Steffy gazed at him, grateful. "Finn, I'd be lost without you. I'm only sane because of you." Finn smiled and kissed her forehead. "Steffy, I'll always support you. No matter what, we'll survive." Steffy felt calm in Finn's arms. She'd understood the path ahead would be difficult, and that battles were yet ahead. She felt stronger and more capable of overcoming obstacles with Finn by her side. But for now, she would take comfort in knowing that her genuine family would support her through the storm. Chapter 5. Accounting. In the days that followed, the Forrester and Logan families struggled with the unresolved difficulties. Ridge struggled between loving Steffy and Hope. As Steffy, Thomas, and Hope navigated their delicate relationships at Forrester Creations, unsaid emotions lingered. Tension, frustration, and hope existed. But behind it all was a sense that something had to give, that familial cracks couldn't be denied forever. The Forrester family prepared for what was to come as weeks passed. With the stakes higher than ever, Everyone knew their decisions in the coming weeks would define their family's future. Steffy prepared for any conflicts to safeguard her and her children's happiness. Ridge, divided between his children and his love, sought serenity. Thomas struggled without hope, still torn between his affections for her. The Forrester family will learn that love doesn't always keep families together. They would discover that their decisions will affect future generations as they dealt with Steffy's request. This is the end for now. This story depicts the Forrester family's emotional turmoil, with Steffy's appeal to Ridge sparking a family reckoning. The drama centers on Steffy, Hope, Thomas, and Ridge's struggles with their wants, loyalties, and emotional wounds.